Hello everyone, welcome to the new weekly Revit tips and tricks series. My name is Doruk. I study architecture at the Vienna University of Technology at the moment, and I will be here making videos every week, tutorials hopefully. Although these tutorials will be made for Digitale Darstellungsmethoden 1 students, it will still be helpful for any Revit user. I am one of the Revit tutors for the Digitale Darstellungsmethoden 1. Therefore, you can find my contact information on the TUWEL page if you are registered to the course. If you have any questions regarding to the tutorials or suggestions, you should feel free to ask via mail. And let's get started with the first tip for today. These tips will be going according to the course mostly, so I will start with the basic stuff like templates, the Vorlagen in German, and some certain settings that you may have problem at the beginning, especially if you have downloaded the Revit in different language or a different version, for example, or you don't know where to find your families and stuff. So let's get into it. First tip is the changing the language. So in the course we need to use German. So right now, for example, here is my Revit 2022, and I right click and I go to the properties. And here in this shortcut you'll see at the end there is a language DEU. So DEU stands for Deutsch, and therefore the Revit will be in German automatically. Though if you want to use it in English, or if it's already English, it's going to be ENU. This is probably English UK or US, one of them. So when I click OK and run Revit, it should be in English. Everything right now looks like it's in English. But there is a little catch here. It's not just the language that is different, but also you will see that the templates, the materials, the names, everything will be different. That's of course because of the template most of the time. Yes, and it's open right now, and as you see it's in English. So I click on new, and here you see that I have a template, metric architectural template, which is in English. But during the course we will be using German, therefore this is not needed. So also your family templates, when you go there, well, it gives you the option to choose. If you choose German, then you have the German ones. You can choose English or whatever your language is. So let's make it German back. While just typing DEU there, click OK, and let's open it again. The thing is, you may not have the language libraries, although I think with the 2022 it comes automatically now, but still if you go to Google and if you write Revit 2022 language packs, you can download the language and you can download the content libraries like the bibliotheques for the families and templates as well. So here it is in German right now as we want it. So I go to Neu, and now I have a different template set. Of course, it's always possible to go to Durchsuchen, the Browse button, and then pick a different template. You can pick the default ones, you can go to the English one and pick the one that I just showed you when I used the English version, or you can make your own personal templates. So Of course, we will go with the project because we don't want to create a new project. Vorlage, a new template. So I go with the project. As you see, all the tabs are in German right now. So our first step was changing the language, and now we come to the templates and the library. So Vorlage and Bibliothek. So you may heard in courses or from your friends that Revit works with families, and there are the templates, and these templates are mostly including the names, maybe names of the layout, the plans, the Ansichten, the elevations, or it can be like here, for example, the wall types. There are different wall types, and they are all in German right now because we are in a German template. If it would be in an English template, then there could be tons of different wall types and all be in English. Templates are very powerful and useful in the future. When you get used to working with Revit, you may want to have your own template. For example, for your school projects, if you have a certain set of line weights, if certain families that you want to use, or certain wall types that you always use in your projects, then you don't need to create those again, which will be already in your template, and there won't be any extra unnecessary stuff in your templates as well. So this is the opening page, and you can of course delete these. These are only coming with the German one. In English one I didn't see them, and these two are pinned right now. We can unpin them like here and delete them as well. Okay, now the next thing is the bibliothek. So what is this libraries? What are the families? So the quickest example is that certain things in Revit are system families. For example, walls. You don't create different wall families. Walls are already a system family that exists in the project. It has to exist. You cannot erase all the wall types. And then you can go to Typ bearbeiten and change. That's another topic for a later video. And these are system families that already inside and must be inside. And there is another type of families which you can create, like doors. There are different kind of doors in this template, for example, or like there are Fenster, the windows, and different types. What you need to know is these are not the ones you have to use or change. You can erase all of them, and you can put your own windows, own doors according to your needs. Families can be heavy, and they can make your files heavy as well. So where do you find families? Like, okay, I have here a couple of windows, but I want different ones, I want more. Well, there are two options. You can either, three options actually. You can either download them online. There are websites like BIMobject or Revit City, but be careful them, because there might be heavy families that are unnecessarily heavy, because lots of people who make these families put their own parameters inside, like the names and codes and everything that's unnecessary for you, which would make extra weight on your projects. And the other thing is that the built-in libraries that you download from Autodesk, which is probably already here. So here, when I'm on the Fenster section, here I have the Familie Laden tool. When I click that, I find here a list of families. So these are actually folders right now, but for example, we are in the Fenster, we are in the Windows. So I go to Architektur Fenster. And here I have different categories again. Let's say I want a Elemente mit nur Glasecken. So here you see we have different kind of families. So I pick one and I go öffnen, and it says there is already one installed. I can say beşliğinde versiyonu başlayalım. And it's already here. The thing is, what here is the tip, that where to find these. So if you go to Familienladen, we are right now in the German library. Everything is in German. It opens automatically because we are in the German language option. But you can go back and you can check different ones as well, like English, which has not many families because I haven't installed them for Revit 2022, because actually in this case German libraries is one of the most detailed ones. There are families that are not in the English library or like any other library that I have seen. Is like, for example, if you go to Bauteil, there is the Möbel option, which is way bigger than others, and there are like Tischkombinationen that you can put in your project, like different types of tables with chairs and stuff, which is much more detailed than others. Okay, now we had the first two tips actually, for language and then the library. Now the third one is that you probably saw this in your lectures, and still it's a good reminder that sometimes these important things are gone. Like you don't have the Eigenschaften and you don't have the Projektbrowser, so you are panicked. So you don't know what to do. Like it's gone. So you can find them easily in Ansicht, Benutzeroberfläche, and here we have the Eigenschaften and Systembrowser and Projektbrowser. So you can turn on the Projektbrowser, for example, and you can turn on the Eigenschaften as well. And the Systembrowser you won't be needing for now. That's for mostly engineering stuff. So you can check out what you have here. You can turn on and off different things and arrange it according to your needs. So number 4, the tip number 4 is the thin lines option. Well, Revit has line weights. These are assigned to the scales mostly, and you can change them by going to Verwalten, Weitere Einstellungen, and then here you have all the line options like Linien stärken. Here you can see what are the line weights according to any scale, any Maßstab. So here we have the line styles for drawing with lines, like 2D lines mostly. So I come here, I click the L shortcut for detail line, and you find it under the Beschriften Detaillinie. So I start drawing some things, and as you can see here in the Linien still, it's 2 ausgezogen schwarz. So I can change it and make it 4 ausgezogen blau. Yes. And as you see, we don't see any difference with the line weight. But actually, it's because my thin lines, which is Feine Linien in German, is on. When I turn it off, you can see that the blue line, which is number 4, so it's thicker, but you can name them however you want, is thicker than the number 2 ausgezogen schwarz. The shortcut for thin lines is TL, coming from thin lines, and you can just, with the keyboard, you can just easily turn it on and off if you need. Well, remember one thing, that whenever you print something from Revit, it automatically turns off the thin lines option, and it's always going to be like this. There is not yet an option to print with the thin lines option, so be careful with that. So if you are drawing the thin lines on and everything seems perfect, you can see every detail, but when you print you see that the lines are too heavy, and then you don't see some lines, you lose some details. That's a important thing to be taken care of. Okay, tip number 5 is the shortcuts. As you realized, I automatically go to the shortcuts instead of picking them on the ribbon, is because it's very important and much faster than going here to Beschriften and Detaillinie and so. So the best method is using them from the beginning. Try using them all. They are mostly made according to the English names of the tools. In this case, wall, for example, WA. Okay, it's Wand in German, but it's not for wand, it's for wall. You can see the difference with the doors. For example, Tür is DR, coming from door, and Fenster is WN. What that it does is I press WA right after each other on my keyboard, and now I am in the wall drawing tool. So I draw a wall, I click 2 or 3 times to escape to leave the wall tool, and now I click DR on the keyboard, and now I have the door tool. Let's place our door, and then I click escape 3 times, and I go to the WN for window, and I place my windows and I escape out of it. So there are lots of shortcuts that I suggest you learn, but one of the most important ones is, of course, the wall is important, but for example, if I have walls like this and I want to connect them, TR, which comes from trim, which is Stützen, Dehnen, Verecke. So actually this is one of my most used shortcuts. That's great in any ways. It can either connect 2 separate walls, or like any object actually, or it can cut the crossing ones. So for example, I go TR, I click the one and then the second one, and it cuts the rest. So here is a trick with the trim tool, that the part you select will stay and the rest of it will be gone. So if I select here, that I mean this part will be staying and this part will be gone. If I select here, this part stays. So there are lots of different shortcuts, like DI for dimension, that you can easily place your dimensions, or another famous one is like SL, Elementteilen, that's from split, that you can cut something. And yeah, CM for components, which are, for example, things like a bed or a douchewanne, whatever you have in your template, like you can place easily. Another one, which is my favorite, is CS. So CS, which comes from create similar, actually let me create another family, another instance of that selected object. So I pick my door here and I click CS, and now I place another same type of door again. You can do it as much as you want. So shortcuts are definitely important and must learn. if you want to be faster and more efficient in Revit. Okay, tip number 6 is choosing, wählen, to Auswählen in this case. So as you see here, we have the arrow here, that the mouse cursor, which called ändern, and then underneath we have the Auswählen. So what does it do? So as you see right now, when I come over any object, it lights in blue, which is indicating that I'm going to be selecting that object. If you want to select multiple objects, you should first click on one, and then you press your Steuerung-Taste, which is Control button on your left hand side, and you see a plus sign on your mouse cursor, and then you can select any other object as well. If you pick the same type of items, objects, on the left you see that the Eigenschaften are not changing. But if I select another object, like a window, then I don't anymore have the preferences, properties. The reason for that is they don't have the same properties, they're different, therefore it becomes allgemein. So that was picking with control. Now let's say we have picked our walls, but we mistakenly picked the bed here as well, but I don't want to select that. So what I do is I click on my shift on my keyboard and I hold it down, and as you see on my mouse cursor there is this minus sign, which means now I can exclude things like this bed. Yes, this is the Steuerung, the control for picking more, and shift for picking less. Now this was the first tip for the picking stuff. The second one is way more powerful and important to know, that many people might miss time to time, is the filters. So let's say I have this huge file, very huge right now. I pick everything here, but I just want the windows. So as you see, when I make my selection, we have here the filter tool. So you can go to the filter, and now we see what we picked. Actually, we have 9 walls, we have 2 doors, 1 furniture, 2 windows, and 2 dimensions. I just want the windows, so I go here to Keine markieren and I pick Fenster. I click OK, and now I have my windows selected. Another thing is that when you click on something and move, and you may move mistakenly. For example, I want to select all these and I start from here, and then I mistakenly move my wall, which I don't want to. So that is actually an option. So here in ändern, where my mouse cursor is, there is the Auswählen, and then here we have different options. Here what we want to cancel is Elemente beim Auswählen verschieben. Now as you see, when I'm selecting over it, it's not selecting the wall. It's because that this option is that I am not moving things without selecting them first. So if I select this bed, I can move it, but if I haven't selected yet and click and drop, as you see, I'm not moving it. So I suggest you to keep it Elemente beim Auswählen verschieben cancelled, because it's very efficient this way. Then if you move something mistakenly, it could cause either small problems that you can fix with some Ctrl Z easily, but it can be something very small that you haven't realized, and it might be late for Ctrl Z and going back out of it. Okay, for today's last tip is for the imports and exports, which you may realize that in Revit sometimes can be a problem. I delete out of these and I go to Einfügen. So in your lectures and also in your personal projects, in times you will have necessity to import a PDF or DWG file, so an AutoCAD file, for example. And of course, with PDF and CAD, we have both two options. We have the Verknüpfen option, which is in English link, and Importieren option, which is import. Also, same goes for the CAD. But there is one thing which is very important. I wouldn't suggest you use CAD Importieren for your DWG files. The reason behind that is CAD files usually have layers. Of course, automatically comes with the AutoCAD system that you have layers, you have different line weights, you have different line colors, and these are all extra weight to your files. When you say CAD Importieren, you take all those information into your Revit file. They are there. Even though if you delete the CAD file later on, you will still have them, and they will make unnecessary weight on your file. But if you go to CAD Verknüpfen, which is temporarily taking a file into your Revit file, then you can actually just use whatever you need to use, and then you can cancel the link, and then it's all going to be fine. You won't have any extra stuff, you won't have any extra weight, and that link will be all gone. Okay, for today, this was the last tip. I hope it's helpful for you guys. Please let me know, write me an email that if it's helpful, if there are certain things that you wanted to be changed, if it's too much detail or too less detail, and ask your questions whenever you want. Whenever I'm free, I will try to answer them. Thank you for watching.